This is Stories of Soul, a place where real emotions meet unforgettable moments, where ordinary lives take unexpected turns, and where one single decision can change everything. If you believe that kindness still exists in this world, if you believe that people are more than their worst moments, you're in the right place. Sit back, breathe, and let this story sink in. It was raining, the kind of rain that soaked through your shoes in seconds, cold and relentless, turning the city sidewalks into mirrors of flickering streetlights. Mark Bennett pulled his jacket tighter as he adjusted the strap of his worn backpack. Inside were juice boxes, a half-eaten sandwich, and a small dinosaur toy, his son Leo's favorite. Mark was 37, a single dad, and exhaustion lived permanently in his bones. He worked construction during the day, cleaned offices at night, and somehow still showed up every morning with a smile for his 8-year-old son. Life hadn't been gentle with him, but it had taught him one thing very clearly: you don't walk away when someone needs help. That night, Mark was heading home from his second shift when he heard it. A sharp laugh. Too loud, too unsteady. Near the entrance of a high-end hotel, a woman stumbled, heels slipping on wet pavement. Her designer coat dragged slightly through a puddle as she tried, and failed, to steady herself against a lamppost. A luxury car idled nearby, its driver clearly unsure whether to intervene or disappear. "Hey, you okay?" Mark called out instinctively. The woman looked up, mascara smudged, eyes glassy but sharp with irritation. "Just walk away, idiot," she snapped, waving him off. "I don't need some random guy playing hero." Mark stopped. He'd been called worse. He took a step back, raised his hands. "All right, just didn't want you getting hurt." Most people would have left then. And for a second, Mark considered it. He was tired. His son was waiting. He didn't need trouble. But then she slipped. It wasn't dramatic. No scream. Just a quiet, terrifying moment where her ankle twisted, and she went down hard, hitting the pavement with a dull thud. The driver of the luxury car immediately pulled away. Mark cursed under his breath and rushed over. Hey, don't move." She tried to push herself up but winced sharply, pain cutting through the fog of alcohol. "Damn it." Mark crouched beside her. "You're hurt. I'm calling an ambulance." "No." She snapped again, panic flashing across her face. "No hospitals. Please." That word, please, changed something. Mark hesitated. "You sure? You hit pretty hard." She nodded weakly. "I just need somewhere safe." Against his better judgment, Mark helped her up, supporting most of her weight as they made their way to a nearby bus stop shelter. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders without asking. She didn't protest this time. They sat in silence for a moment, rain drumming against the metal roof. "I'm Mark," he said quietly. She exhaled. "Claire." He noticed her hands shaking, not just from the cold. From something deeper. "You live nearby?" he asked. She laughed bitterly. "Define live." Mark didn't push. He called a rideshare using the last of his data and gave the driver his own address. A tiny, modest apartment above a bakery. Not ideal, not glamorous, but safe. Claire barely spoke during the ride. By the time they arrived, she was half asleep against the window. Mark carried her bags, unlocked the door, and carefully laid her on his couch. From the bedroom, a small voice called out, "Dad." Mark froze. Leo appeared in the doorway, clutching his dinosaur, eyes wide. "Who's that?" Mark lowered his voice. "She's just someone who needs help, buddy." Leo studied Claire for a moment, then nodded seriously. "Okay." Mark smiled. He made sure Claire had water, a blanket, and a bucket nearby, just in case. Then he tucked Leo back into bed, kissed his forehead, and sat awake in a chair the rest of the night. He didn't trust the situation. But he trusted himself. Morning came softly, sunlight creeping through thin curtains, the smell of fresh bread drifting up from the bakery downstairs. Claire woke with a pounding headache and a deep sense of confusion. This wasn't her penthouse. This wasn't silk sheets or floor-to-ceiling windows. This was small, warm, quiet. She sat up too fast and groaned. "You're awake," a man's voice said gently. She turned and saw Mark standing in the doorway, holding a mug. Instant panic surged. "Where am I?" "Safe," he said calmly. "You fell last night. I helped you." Memories rushed back. The rain, the words she'd spat at him, the fall. Shame burned hotter than the headache. "Oh my God," she pressed a hand to her face. "I'm so sorry. I was horrible." Mark shrugged. "You were drunk and scared." "Happens." She stared at him. "You could have left me." "I could have," he agreed. "Didn't feel right." Claire took the mug he offered. Black coffee. Exactly how she liked it. That surprised her. Who are you? She asked quietly. Just a guy trying to get through life, Mark said. Single dad. Construction worker. Night janitor. Her breath caught. Claire Donovan, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech firm. A woman feared in boardrooms, admired in magazines, envied by millions. And here she was, sitting on a second-hand couch in a stranger's apartment, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of laundry detergent and warmth. She noticed a crayon drawing taped to the fridge. A stick figure family. Only 2 figures. Your son? She asked softly. Mark nodded. Leo. 8. Something shifted inside her then. Something she hadn't felt in years. Thank you, she said, voice thick. For not walking away. Mark met her eyes. You told me to. She swallowed. I didn't mean it. They sat in silence, the weight of the night settling between them. Later, after she'd showered and borrowed a hoodie that was far too big, Claire checked her phone. Dozens of missed calls. Messages. Panic. Her world came crashing back. I have to go, she said, standing abruptly. This was a mistake. I mean, not you. Mark held up a hand. Hey, you don't owe me anything. She paused at the door. What if I want to? He smiled faintly. Then start by getting home safe. She nodded, fighting tears she didn't understand. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. A week later, Mark got a call from a number he didn't recognize. Mark, it's Claire. He hesitated. You okay? Yes. And, I was wondering if I could see you again. Properly. To thank you. He glanced at Leo, who was doing homework at the table. I'm kind of busy. Bring your son, she said quickly. Lunch. My treat. Against his instincts, Mark agreed. They met at a simple diner. Not her world. His. Claire showed up without makeup, hair tied back, looking human. Leo took to her immediately. Told her about dinosaurs, school, and how his dad made the best pancakes in the world. Claire laughed more in that hour than she had in months. She watched Mark, patient, kind, fully present. No ego, no performance, just love. And something inside her cracked wide open. Over the next weeks, she found excuses to call. To stop by. To help Leo with a school project. Mark kept his guard up. He knew worlds like hers chewed people like him up. But Claire wasn't the woman from the magazines when she was with them. She was someone trying to remember who she used to be. One evening, as Leo slept, she finally said it. I told you to walk away because that's what people always do, she whispered. And when you didn't, it scared me. Mark nodded slowly. You don't have to be alone, Claire. Tears slid down her face. Her morning reaction that day, the confusion, the humility, the gratitude, had changed everything. Not just for her, for him, for Leo. Months later, Claire made a decision that shocked her company. She stepped down as CEO. Not away from success, but toward life. She funded scholarships, built community programs, and yes, she stayed in their lives. Not as a savior, not as a boss, but as someone who was once told to walk away, and chose instead to stay. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness echo louder than power ever could. And sometimes, the people we almost ignore, are the ones who save us.